Bollywood to Hollywood with Rao Pilla. This beginning of this year, I was reading a book by Stella Adler on Ibsen, Chekhov, and Strindberg. There she mentions about American pianists playing the technique rather than the art of playing. She says there is a similar problem in the theater, actors playing the technique rather than doing the art of acting. So to enlighten us on this point, we have two important guests here. One is Arthur French, who is an actor and a director and a teacher. And then we have Jim Kempner. He is from the Jim Kempner Art Gallery. So, Jim, we're going to show you some pictures.
Okay.
I've been to Washington, D.C., and there's the Museum of Art. So in the Museum of Art, I took some pictures. You would see those pictures. And there is a thesis, because you studied with Austin Pendleton, and I studied. And Arthur is a friend of Austin Pendleton, and he teaches along with Austin Pendleton. But Austin relies on layering theory. I think there is a connection between the art, the painting,
yes,
layering different layers, and acting. Mm-hmm. Different characters require different elements. So see if there is a relationship between this art of painting and the art of acting. Can we run? Yes, we are running. See, we have all those paintings.
Well, one thing they all have in common is they have, the canvas has a layer or many layers of gesso, which is the base before the painting begins. And so as an actor has to have their base, they have to have their core, either their own core or the character they're playing, before they start to layer, as in all these great paintings, even the early ones. And that's where the coloring begins. That's where the depth of the character starts to get into the mind of the actor. Mm-hmm. These are old, great paintings, of course. Some
probably
very,
Renaissance
very
period.
Old. When they probably related more to Shakespeare acting in a way. And as you come up through the ages, most of the paintings that we're looking at are hundreds of years old. Mm-hmm. I was hoping you might have some of the abstract expressionists, because that to me relates very much into today's acting world. In the 50s and late 40s, when Jackson Pollock started abstract expressionism, and that's when Strasberg and Marlon Brando and all the great method actors started. There was a connection, because it was very emotional, the painting. And so to me, that's where the modern actor and the modern art converge.
So you think there is a connection between acting and painting?
Absolutely. I mean, they're both great art forms, and there's a connection between great art, great artists, and great actors.
So all those pictures from the Renaissance period, probably Shakespeare.
Well,
is that what you're saying?
In a way. Some of them, I mean, you picked some great paintings. Uh-huh. So they have, a depth of feeling that I'm sure Shakespearean actors had. But it was just before the real, almost before Freud and the psychoanalytical part of art began, and abstract expressionists painted how they felt instead of a rose or a person. And so to me, for where I'm coming from in the acting world, and Arthur I think is contemporary, there's more of a relationship to modern art than the old classics.
Well, as I read this book, Stella makes a distinction between the Shakespeare acting and the revolution started with Ibsen, where the realism came, where the characters are ordinary middle-class working people. So Ibsen brought the change. Probably not like but Ibsen belongs to 1870s. But she also talked. But he was even before Marxism, before Freud. So he was kind of a pioneer and a revolutionary, and who created the realism school. And when Chekhov, that was followed by Strindberg in Sweden and Chekhov in Russia. When Chekhov came with his theater, it was Stanislavski who came in and make it fill these shoes and able to do all those characters, all those plays. So, Arthur, you are a teacher and a great actor and a great director. So, what is your my question is? Well, we all learned Stanislavski method acting. So how do an actor, an American actor, get to become an artist?
Well, what was it you said goes on the canvas before anything?
Gesso.
Gesso. Well, I think what the actor has to do is to have his own gesso, to have his basic techniques that's there. Now, what he adds to it and how it's maneuvered or how it's layered comes with the individual. That's what makes, I think, a technique person become an artist. Anybody can have a canvas with gesso on it. It's what you put on the canvas, how you put it on the canvas. And it's what the actor does. How does the actor layer it? What's the psychological background? What's the physical body this actor has? Is it a healthy body? Is it a weak body? Is it an old body? But the basis must be there. And if that's what you mean by technique, you have to have your gesso or whatever you say it, there, intact. And you can add anything else on top of that.
Well, that's under the world edits with the world pictures, and I have seen some more different kind of pictures when I went to New Mexico, Santa Fe, in the Canyon Valley. Can we see those pictures? That's in the Canyon Valley, there is all these modern art galleries. Okay. See there, this was the modern pictures. Well, it doesn't have that. See, look at that bird. There's not much of a gesto. I don't know if there is any, but they made a beautiful art out of nothing. Especially the bird, the chicken, whatever you call it. So this is where I thought maybe I have an answer. Take a bamboo sticks, some clay. They created this dragon, the beautiful art, and it doesn't have all those paraphernalia of the old classical Renaissance, or you may say Shakespearean kind of thing in it. So when I looked at it, I said, now I got it. Now I got the answer.
Tell us.
What's the answer?
I thought, well, one time when I did a workshop with Alan Arkin, he said, Rao, if you know what you are doing, the intention, if you don't know what you are doing, don't ever get on that stage. It didn't mean much to me at that time, but once I saw this and when I had this question, lingering thoughts in my mind, well, all it needs is that intention or the object. If I have a clear-cut intention and object, I can even make, because those people, those artists that make that chicken out of the scrap metal have imagination and a clear object, a theme. So I think that's how they're able to convert something scrap into an artistic piece. And so that's what it takes to be an actor.
Just take scraps of your brain and put it together. But I think they did have a vision. So it isn't, what is anything? This is a piece of paper, but it can become a book. It can become a play. It can become many things. So it's really what knowing what it is, having your basic, I love that word, gesso, because then you can take it and make anything. It's not just a bird. It's if it's just a bird, we see birds every day, but it is an image of a bird. It's how this person sees the bird. What kind of bird is it? Is that bird going someplace or coming from someplace? You know, is the bird comfortable on its perch or is it uncomfortable? So I think what makes the art is that we look at the bird and we continue to look to find what the bird is doing rather than it's, you know, you take two lines and you draw a bird. So I think with the artist, with the actor, certainly you can say the words, or piano person can play the piano, play any piece, but it's the difference of what notes you hold, what you let go, where your imagination takes you. Who would imagine a bird from scrap metal? Who would imagine music from these notes? So I think it's always about the individual artist's imagination, what they see, and hopefully can make us see, whether it's in art, music, or theater.
So that's how you think an actor, ordinary actor, transforms into an actor of art.
Well, hopefully we don't have ordinary actors. You know, hopefully there's something more than just reciting words, where the actor begins to say, well, who is this person? It's interesting you had portraits, because one of the acting exercises is that to take a portrait and try to take the position of that person in the portrait and say, well, what is that person thinking? What is that person feeling? Why is the person sitting, however it is, standing or lying down? And begin to investigate that portrait. That's why you see something in one portrait, you don't see something in another, because you want to find out what's going on inside the person in that portrait, rather than just saying, oh, it's a picture, and move on.
Well, Jim, what do you say?
Well, you know, I'm sitting here thinking about great actors and great artists, and I think, I mean, the thing they have in common is imagination and great inspiration. Anyone can be an actor. Anyone can, you know, recite the lines. Anyone can be an artist. Take a, you know, paintbrush and paint, but and put in even the perspiration. You could be a successful artist, and I think you'd be even a successful actor,
sure,
and not have the, you know, that 10% extra. But if you put in the perspiration, the work, you can get to a certain level. But to get to that top level, you need something special. But I'm sitting here wondering, if you see a great performance,
right,
I mean, you know it, right?
Yes,
I mean, but if you see a great piece of art, you don't always know it. You don't always know it right away. It's just sort of interesting. I mean, there's works of art that I see, that I think are fantastic, and maybe even the hierarchies of the art world think. And I have people, you know, and abstract expressionists are a good example. A lot of people will look, and my father took him to the museum once, and he saw Barnett Newman, a big red painting with a black stripe down the middle. And he said, I guess Barnett had a bad day, huh? And yet, you know, it's considered a masterwork, and a lot of people would look at it and go, I don't understand why. But with acting, do you have that? Do you think?
Oh, sure. I think you have, you know, all of this is very subjective. Any art form is subjective. You know, why do we like one thing and not like another? But I think great artists last over a period of time. You know, they last, we watch and we look at these paintings centuries later, and we're moved by them. So the fact that we may not see or like one painting or not like one actor or not, but when someone says this is a great artist and we're watching it, you know, centuries later, and we're still moved by it, and it still takes us in. And if we even watch these paintings that we don't specifically understand, there's something that draws us to look at them, to study them. And I can't say what that is, but it's because of who the artist is, that there's something there.
Can we see the pictures of the skies of the Santa Fe? I just want to show something else,
sure,
and see what you think. Now, we are seeing some of the man-made art. See, what if it is in the nature? And how we relate that to the acting, perhaps. It's like those beautiful sights. I mean, I'm from New York, so I don't get to see the skies that much. But if you see this beautiful skies, it takes some kind of invisible painter to paint those beautiful skies. And it changes from moment to moment. Every second, it's just, it takes us so much time to paint something. But the nature provides us with such a beautiful skies and landscape. This is in New Mexico, Santa Fe, the Midwest. I'm just, if you, as we go, see, it's like the Ten Commandments. Somebody like poking their hand through the skies and reaching the people. You can interpret any way you want. In the beautiful evening. That's not actual American Reservation School, the first Indian school, but the sky. Probably somebody said the God is putting the sky on these Indians, or whatever.
That's why they invented photography.
Yeah.
But you get a feeling. The sky, every time we look at the sky, something happens. The sky, whether we feel it's God or whether there's a storm coming or whether the sky looks mean or angry or threatening, you begin to get more than just saying, oh, there are clouds, and kind of say cumulus this and call them whatever clouds they are. But the formations give us an emotional charge, whether it's good or bad. We look at the skies, we say, oh, I better be ready, better get my rain. Or we look at the sky and we do feel peaceful, or we do feel that God is there somewhere. So an actor comes on and can make us feel something that they're projecting to us over and above just, I'm saying the words, or a painter is just, you can teach anyone the technique, if you talk about technique. Yes, this is this color, this is how you paint it, this is this brush stroke, and so on. But the way that person's imagination puts those strokes together is what makes the difference.
Well, my thinking is, after this revelation, like Buddha, to me in Santa Fe, looking at the skies, I'm just wondering, because sometimes they say there are some actors who are naturally blessed. They can, once in a century, there is an actor like that. Is there something like that in these skies where this natural gift of beauty and creating that whatever artistry that it is? So my quest so far is, well, I'm an actor and he's an actor. Of course, you are an actor and also a teacher. So my quest is, how do I get to become an artist? Not just an actor like any other actor, but a real artistic actor.
I think the more layers you have, the more you delve into who that character is, how that character is different from you, what's that character's metabolism like, what do they eat, how do they move. The more you investigate who your character is, then the more layered it is, and the more I'm going to see. We don't go to see Hamlet because we don't know the story. We know the story. We know everything. We know the lines. We know the words. Why do people do it? It's because you get different feelings from different people. Is he saying to be or be? Is it an internal question or is he screaming it? That's what we go to see. The artistry is in how you do it, not what you're going to say so much as what is under what you're going to say. If you're just going to read what you're going to say, you might as well read the book and not see the play. You get more out of it. You go to see what this artist, hopefully, is going to bring to it. What's going on inside of Hamlet other than him saying nice iambic pentameter?
Well, I also remember from Stella's book that she talks about Shakespeare. It's all about poetry. And Ibsen came and he wrote it in prose. And Shakespeare, it's all about queens, kings, so a different audience. Ibsen came, he gave ordinary people. So ever since Ibsen, she says it's the school of realism, it's about ordinary people. So how do we make, because any story, even Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, Death of a Salesman, even if you see the picture of a salesman, how do you make it gigantic like Jews or Greek god? And Stella says that maybe a British actor may not have been equipped to do some of the Chekhov plays, and a Chekhov actor may not have been equipped to do a Shakespeare, because Chekhov takes more. It took Stanislavski to bring Chekhov out to do the inner life. Do you think that is valid?
I don't know that it's valid. I think when people wrote about kings and gods, well, who knows how they talk? Who knows if they talk like this or if they declaim? As the playwrights or writers began to write about people that we knew, it had to change because we know how people talk. But I don't think any character in a play is ordinary. I think there are people in a situation that maybe represents and covers a lot of people and a lot of situations. So if it's just ordinary, then we see ordinary stuff, but it's extraordinary. A play is extraordinary. The people in it are people going through things that maybe millions of people go through, and you have to find that hard.
Well, you need to go, so...
I need to run. I'll just say one last thing, which is interesting, is that we can look at the Da Vinci and Michelangelo and the great painters, but we can't see the performances of Shakespeare. There's no you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't know, like you said, how they did it. We're lucky with art. With art, we get to still see the great art, but we can't see, past 100 years of film,
That's true.
It was my pleasure.
Well, that's why it's good to have some film too. I still have some unanswered. Thank you for being on the show. Some unanswered.
You always will.
Especially with the acting.
Yes, especially.
Because it's kind of mind-boggling, the distinction she makes between the old poetry and the Shakespeare and the new ones. But what really fascinates me is it's about ideas.
Exactly.
The plays are about the ideas. And when she says it is about the ideas, okay, now we are going through recession, and we went through depression in 30s. And we don't see many plays, either on Broadway, I don't know about off-Broadway, but on the mainstream or in the movies, some of these issues being addressed in the plays. So is that the reason why much of artistry in acting has not come to light? I mean, we had a Federal Theater those days.
Sure. Well, I think there are always people writing political plays, political in the sense of dealing with the issues today, dealing with the problems in the modern world, which is constantly changing. I mean, the world we're in today is not the world we were in 40 years ago. It's totally different. But it still deals with people and what they're feeling and what's going on in their environment, whether it's in the Renaissance, whether it's Jackson Pollock, in the 30s. It represents the times. You can't help it. I mean, we're having a lot of things now about elections and about politics because we're in an election year. Who are the people who are going to lead us? And so there are plays that deal with leadership and deal not specifically, but with that thought, who is the best person to lead? Who is the best leader that we can have? All of those things are in plays. Now, there's the plays that are here to entertain us, to make us laugh or something. But a good play, whether it's a musical or whoever writes it in whatever country, deals with some social issue of a kind, deals with an important thing that is universal, that we all have to deal with. And we all, have fears and ambitions, and dealing with the government. All those things go on forever. They don't change. They change technically, but not really. We're always trying to improve ourselves or gain money or whatever.
Well, that brings me to, I don't have much time, but
Okay.
another issue. In 60s, they have an open theater. Probably heard about it. I had another guest, Barbara Van from Edison's Show Theater, another time.
Okay.
She was talking about how they used to do the theater, how politicians lie on the television, so how the characters lie. And they used to work on inner character and outer behavior. Why can't we do some of those things now?
Well, I think they are, when you do a play, no character is always saying exactly what they mean. They have some other agenda. If a politician is speaking to, he wants your vote. So whatever topic he wants to talk about, taxes, the economy, medical care, they want your vote. That's the underlying. So what we're always looking for in art, why do we look at a picture again? We go back and see the same portrait. It's because we want to know what's underlying it. What is the art? What is the painting really saying? What is that bird really about? Is it trying to get away? Is it landing? Is it taking off? So that's what makes it any art, is that we're interested in it. If we go to a concert, we know what they're going to play. They tell us we're going to play this symphony. Why do we go to hear it? It's because it's going to be different, because it's going to be a little higher tempo. It's going to be, a little stressed here, lightened here. So we go for the experience. And great artists make us experience it like it's new. If someone says to be or not to be, you say, oh, I never heard that before. Because you haven't in that way.
Well, with that note, I don't know who gets the last word. Maybe none of us. The audience gets the last word.
Okay.
So until the future generations, for that matter, we are only here to put it before them. So until the next time, goodbye, Bollywood to Hollywood with Rao Ramtala. Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you, Rao.